This movie's like the most insane mission of Grand Theft Auto ever. So Ambulance tells the story of two surviving bank robbers who hijack an ambulance and try to escape the LAPD. What is up, guys? Welcome to another new release this weekend, and this is Michael Bay's latest of Ambulance. Now, this is a movie that wasn't on my radar at all until I just happened to see the trailer about a month or so ago in the theaters, and I really liked the trailer. I mean, it was a bit of a 2.5-minute version of the movie, like a lot of trailers nowadays are, unfortunately, but I really dug it. And I was actually kind of surprised to see Michael Bay's name at the end of it, because the tone and the intensity of the trailer kind of harkened back to more of an early Bay that I was not really expecting. I was thinking maybe Antoine Fuqua or, hell, even like Len Wiseman or somebody like that. And when it said Michael Bay, I was like, wow, maybe he's trying to get back to that early magic, at least in my opinion, of his 90s flicks. And all of the early reviews and early reactions of this film led me to believe that Ambulance was 100% that. So I walked into this thing expecting just to have a zany good time. At its worst, it'll be a goofy Michael Bay movie. At its best, it'll be one of the more entertaining Bay movies like the ones that I love from the 90s, The Rock, Bad Boys, Armageddon. But either way, I figured there's no way I'm gonna walk into this thing and walk out not at least having just a good, silly time with all of the carnage, all of the bayhem that's gonna be on screen for the next 2 hours. Well, unfortunately, I was not a fan of this movie. Honestly, I really struggle to remember a movie in recent memory that has frustrated me and annoyed me more with its writing, its dialogue, and especially its logic. But one thing that I want to say before I even get into my pros and my cons regarding this film is that I seem to be in the minority. Everybody that I know, everybody that I follow, all seems to be really enjoying this movie, all seems to be putting this on the shelf with movies like The Rock and Armageddon and Bad Boys, which are pretty universally held as his better films. So if you were interested in this flick, if you saw the trailer and really enjoyed it like I did, I still encourage you to go check this out regardless of all of the nitpicks and all of the issues that I have with this film that I'm about to get into. Starting off with the positives, I think that Jake Gyllenhaal was awesome in this movie, and he has an insane uphill battle to try to make this movie watchable and to make it fun, just because of everything that I'm going to get into in my negatives. But not only that, his character isn't necessarily the most likable person on paper, and his character, unfortunately, is also kind of the vessel for a lot of the dumb shit that this movie is expecting you to swallow and just move on with. So he had a huge uphill battle to make this thing very entertaining and to make his character the most entertaining person on screen, but he absolutely is. I mean, his charisma, his on-screen presence is just, it's electric. For all of the good performances that we get in this movie, and there's a lot of them, he is the one that is really just heightening this movie way above what it really should be. But as I just said, all of the rest of the cast of this movie is really good as well. You got Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, the guy who just became our new Candyman, the guy who is Black Manta. You're gonna see a lot more of this dude. He certainly has that movie star quality. He's really good in here as kind of the more moral, the more straight-laced of these two characters. They're adoptive brothers. And you also have Eliza Gonzalez as kind of your third lead as the EMT who is stuck in this ambulance, who is the hostage trying to survive this situation, as well as keep the injured cop inside of the ambulance alive during this 2-hour car chase. And as well as all the side characters, all of the other cops, the other FBI agents that we meet throughout this film, they all do pretty good as well. You even got the guy who I always remember from Wedding Crashers, the really weird brother that wanted to come play Tummy Sticks.
Jeremy tried to seduce me!
He plays the FBI negotiator role in this movie, and even he does pretty good, which I've never seen him do particularly well with anything outside of comedy. If you came to this movie for the bayhem, for all of the insane car crashes and explosions and high-octane chases, which I would presume 95% of the people that are sitting their ass in the seat in the theater came for that, you will have a lot delivered to you. This is literally a 2-hour car chase. You get a little bank heist in the beginning, and then it's just a car chase. It's the FBI and the LAPD chasing down this ambulance for about 2 hours. And while I do think that that goes on a little bit too long, and I'll get into that, what you do get here as far as practical stunt work, explosions, even some of the CGI and the drone work and everything to try to make this a really high-octane, edge-of-your-seat type experience, it does what Michael Bay does well. The guy knows how to blow shit up in a fancy, very pretty way. Moving on to the mixed, the core storyline that we're going for here regarding the two main characters of Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen, they are adoptive brothers that, one of which has taken on the criminal life, the other one has tried to live a straight-laced life, but unfortunately because of situations that we all deal with every single day in the real world, he kind of has to work with his brother to make ends meet. And there's this core storyline where even the movie kind of bookends itself with imagery regarding the relationship with these brothers from even a young age. They have a very tight bond. They kind of were each other's legs to stand on for a while. And I think that was a really strong theme to have in this movie, to kind of ground all of the ridiculousness that's going to be on screen and to really make you care for both of these characters, regardless how morally ambiguous the movie decides to make them off and on throughout the film. Unfortunately, I just don't feel like they went deep enough with it. Like it's something there. There's a cut of this movie that could really make that a strong element to the story, but the cut that we get, it kind of feels like more background noise to all of just the visual explosions and gunfire and hard right turns down the LAPD turnpikes. Now moving on to the negatives, we'll get the easy ones out of the way first. This movie is at least half an hour too long. This concept is built for a quick 90-minute fun little ride, and there might have even been a 90-minute cut of this movie that I would have enjoyed much more just because it wouldn't have overstayed its welcome. This is a film that feels about an hour longer than it actually is. And there was a point where it almost felt like it had that multiple ending syndrome, to where it felt like we were building to an ending and then there was another 10 minutes and a whole other subplot, and then we're building to an ending and then there's a whole other 10 minutes. And so when you have a very small, simple concept like this, bank robbers trying to escape in a hijacked ambulance, that is something that you don't want to overdo. And unfortunately, that's just something that's a common problem with Michael Bay films, is that he tends to be very, very indulgent with his run times, and you will be lucky to find a film that feels half an hour too long, because a lot of them feel like they're about an hour and a half too long. This is one could have benefited from quite a bit being cut out of it. I also think, despite how energetic and how frantic and how entertaining Michael Bay's directing style can be, that this movie does overdo a lot of the camera movement a bit too much. There's a lot of drone shots. This feels like a movie where he bought a drone and went, holy fuck, this is awesome. I gotta use the shit out of this all throughout the movie. And there's so many times where even just focusing on a character, they have to like swoop around the character. The camera is never still in this movie. And while that can add to the frantic nature of what is going on and kind of add to that high octane kind of pacing that he's going for, there's times where it's just like, dude, stop moving the camera. Just chill on somebody's face. Have an emotional, grounded moment for just 5 fucking seconds, please. The humor in this movie, another classic Michael Bay fumble. I think that if you like his kind of frat boy approach to humor, you will like this one. It fits right alongside all the other films in recent memory where he kind of fumbled in that, in my opinion. But this movie has so many attempts to have a laugh, and it's not just me. Everybody that was in my theater last night, I didn't hear a laugh one single time throughout the movie. It just feels misplaced. It feels like the moments are misplaced. And it even goes so far to where he's making little wink and nod moments at other films in his filmography. There's a point in the movie where 2 people are sitting in a car and one of them just brings up like you start like midway in the sentence and he's like, oh yeah, The Rock. America, fuck yeah! Yeah. The actor, or he was actually a wrestler first. And then I don't even think it was 10 minutes later, there's 2 cops that are walking out of the car and they're like, yeah, we could be like Bad Boys. America, fuck yeah! And there's a version of that could be fun, that could be like a little Easter egg for your audience, for your fans, but the way that it comes across is just like Michael Bay doing this. But ultimately, my biggest issue with this movie, which I would not have expected to be my biggest issue walking into a Michael Bay film. You kind of feel like you would expect some of this, but I did not expect the level of absurdity, the level of stupidity, the logic gaps, just the entire huge leaps that this movie expects you to take mentally to go along with its plot, to go along with its characters for over 2 hours. It was way, way too much for me. I'm somebody, I can enjoy a stupid, ridiculous action film if that film knows that it's stupid and ridiculous. And I've heard some people in their reactions swear that this movie is self-aware. I don't know what film they watched. The version of Ambulance that I saw took itself 100% seriously. The characters are taking everything 100% seriously. It's trying to be grounded and gritty and trying to be high octane, and you walk out of this movie with scabs and scars. But that's just not the tone of movie that matches up with the script that we have here. Even in the first 10 to 15 minutes, I was already getting a headache with just all of the dumb ass writing and all of this stupid ass logic that the movie is forcing you through, to the point where like the opening act of this film is basically on fast forward. Like they're trying to get you to that bank robbery and that ambulance thing as quickly as possible, and it's just so jarring. I mean, just the little bit of exposition we get for these characters, and then he goes to see his brother Jake Gyllenhaal, and there's this whole like 3-minute discussion on Keurig coffee, and then immediately he's like, hey, I'm getting ready to do the most insane and just the career-defining heist of my life right now. And we just realized 3 minutes before we're about to pull off that we're actually one dude short. I need you, bro. You get to the heist, and at some point later on in the movie, it's revealed that Jake Gyllenhaal might possibly be the most sought after and the most infamous and the most wanted thief in the fucking world. And he assembles the dumbest goddamn crew ever to do this giant career-defining heist, to where they botch the thing in seconds, left and right. Just one dude doesn't even wear body armor. He's in there with like fucked up sweatpants and shit, just pulling shit out of lockboxes. And you have Jake Gyllenhaal, who's the mastermind of all this, who is the guy whose face is plastered all over the FBI website, that walks into this heist with no face covering, showing his face to every single person inside of this bank, not shielding himself whatsoever to gunfire. And he has a business and a big rich ass house in the middle of LA. How am I supposed to go along with this? This is a guy that you're telling me is on the FBI most wanted list, and he's just walking the fuck around LA doing whatever the hell he wants. Nobody's ever caught this guy on CCTV or anything else. Get the fuck out of here. There's even a point in the heist where, and it's in the trailer, there's a cop that comes to the window and he really wants to ask out one of the bank tellers. And so he's like, come on man, just let me in. Jake Gyllenhaal's like, no, we got a security thing. We're doing a transfer in the back. We have to lock down the bank for about 20 minutes. As soon as we're done, I'll let you in. Oh, come on man, I'll be quiet. And he's like, all right, yeah.
If I could just get it done real quick, because I'm on the clock. Promise not to rob the place.
Seriously, because that would be bad for my job.
I promise.
All right, come on. Right. Okay.
So to avoid suspicion, he lets the fucking cop in to try to get him in and get him out quietly. Instead of just saying, no, bitch, it's a security risk, you're gonna stay outside, I don't give a fuck how horny you are. And even if you go along with that, he takes the cop inside, eventually things go awry, and the cop realizes what's going on. And he didn't want to create a scene by not letting the cop inside for 20 minutes, but then he does the dumbest possible fucking thing and walks him across the bank at gunpoint in front of the giant glass windows, so all of the people outside, including the cop's partner, can visibly see that it's a robbery. This is just the first 15 minutes. And then for the next hour and 45 minutes, when you're actually in this high-octane ambulance chase, the degree of effort that the FBI and the SIS and the LAPD go to not stop this fucking ambulance, to me was just, it was ridiculous. I understand if you stop it, we don't have a movie, but just the reasons that they were giving for, we can't stop them, we can't crash into them, we can't pop their tires because there's like, one of our own is on board. Yeah, meanwhile, you're fucking blowing shit up all around fucking LA, killing dozens of people to not kill the one cop who's probably already fucking dead. There's even a point where things are going on inside of this ambulance that require them to slow down. And they audibly say in the movie, slow down to 20 miles an hour behind them and let them do their thing. Perfect fucking opportunity to stop the ambulance. Throw some goddamn spikes, do something. You're not gonna kill anybody by crashing them at 20 miles an hour. Nope, just let them go. It's got one of our own, brother. There's a point in the film where the LAPD and the FBI agents are about to take down the ambulance, but the guy who's in charge of the walkie-talkie realizes that his dog is accidentally been put in the car that is closest to the ambulance and calls the whole crew off. There's even this whole element that's brought in the last 15 minutes, like this little ace in the sleeve that Jake Gyllenhaal has been building to throughout the runtime, this little plan that he has to escape this situation that made zero fucking sense to me. Honestly, anybody that saw the movie, please comment down below. You can put spoiler warning if you want, although I don't qualify it as a spoiler warning whatsoever to talk about this plot point. Explain to me what the hell the point of spray painting an ambulance green was. What did they gain with that? What exactly was achieved by doing that? Please explain that to me. Please. And my final issue, which kind of goes along with logic gaps, is that I really struggled to figure out how this movie was trying to characterize its two leads, because there's so many times throughout the movie where we are told by other characters and by Jake Gyllenhaal himself that he is kind of the timid one of the two. He's the one that doesn't want to use guns. There's even a point where before they're planning the heist, Yahya asks him, like, what are we doing with these guns? He's like, dude, it's just for show. You know I hate guns. So he's the one that doesn't like violence. And Yahya Abdul is the guy that was the Marine that has done a lot of violence. And then multiple times throughout the movie, they like swap that to where Yahya is supposed to be the one who's moral and doesn't want to hurt anybody, but Jake Gyllenhaal is just a fucking coked out psycho. I really, by the end of it, I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to feel about these characters, because this movie can't decide what the hell these guys are, who they are, how they feel, how they think. And I can't get on board with who's the hero and who's the villain when the fucking movie can't decide. All in all, guys, I did not expect Ambulance of all movies to get me ranting, but this is a movie that just quite simply did not work for me. I'm glad a lot of people are having fun with this, because I do like Michael Bay. I am a fan of this guy, especially his early work. Really, aside from his Transformers sequels, I enjoy pretty much every movie that this guy puts out to some degree, and his early stuff are some of my favorite films of all time. I love The Rock, I love Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. But this film just did not work for me. I don't know if it was my mood, or I don't know if all of my issues with it are just valid and everybody else just forgave it because they wanted to have a good time. I don't know. I'm not here to assign reasons why people like and don't like a movie. All I can tell you is that the movie that we got frustrated and annoyed the shit out of me throughout most of its runtime. And it's a shame, because there's a version of this movie that I think I genuinely would have enjoyed, but the version we got was not it. So if you're a fan of Michael Bay and you enjoyed the trailer and wanted to check this movie out, definitely follow through with that, but err on the side of caution and check it out online and stream it. So what did you guys think of Ambulance? Going off of popular consensus so far, I'm sure a lot of you enjoyed it more than I did. Give me reasons why you enjoyed it. Did you acknowledge the same things that I had issues with, but maybe just it didn't affect your experience as much? Or do you simply not understand or don't agree with the things that I have issues with this film? Let me know down below, and if you had the same issues, definitely let me know down below so I know that I'm not crazy. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button as well. Of course, we've got Fantastic Beasts coming out next week. I watched through the Harry Potter films for the very first time. I know, way behind the times on that one. And so I will be doing a Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts Wizarding World ranking after I review that film. And then of course that will also lead up to May 31st when we're doing our Fantasy 31 on 31, which will also include Lord of the Rings, Narnia, and Star Wars. So if you're interested in any of that, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of it. Thank you guys for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.